When it comes to the great unheralded red wine grapes of the world, I think Blaufränkisch is right up there. Blaufränkisch literally translates to blue from Franconia, which suggests that it has German origins. In Germany, though, they call it Lemberger in the south. There's about 1,700 hectares of the variety planted in Germany. However, Austria has adopted it as its signature variety, though oddly enough, there's 3,300 hectares of Blaufränkisch in Austria. It's the second most planted red wine grape behind Zweigelt. Its stronghold is the appellation of Burgenland on the eastern part of the country on the border with Hungary, and from there is peppered with a bunch of smaller appellations. However, the most plantings of the varieties in Hungary, where it's known as Kékfankos, which literally translates to blue from Franconia as well. There's 8,000 hectares of it planted and scattered throughout the country. I've tasted some excellent examples also from the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, where it goes under names like Frankinia Modri or Frankovka. There's some research that suggests it's from the eastern tip of what is now Slovenia. However, I just consider it a Carpathian Basin variety, an Austro-Hungarian variety. If my memory serves correct, I think it's early budding and late ripening, so it needs a warm, long growing season. Blaufränkisch to me is the perfect transition from medium-bodied to full-bodied red wines. It's in between the red fruits. It can go over to dark fruits. It's usually a little bit peppery, has some earthiness. In the past, Austrian producers, I felt like were trying to make it more like Cabernet Sauvignon, a little bit too big, a little bit too much oak. In Hungary, I prefer the variety where it's earthy. It doesn't ripen all the way all the time. Sometimes it can really act like Pinot Noir or Sangiovese without the tannins. It's a variety that can make simple, juicy red wines and can go all the way up to serious age-worthy reds. It also delivers excellent value for money, as we'll see here. I have 6 examples, 3 from Austria, 3 from Hungary. All of these, I think, are in the $30 range in the USA. Of course, when you're in Austria, when you're in Hungary, they're a lot less. In the past, I've always said that I prefer Kékfankos from Hungary because I like the earthy notes, usually a little bit lower in alcohol. However, this is the first time I'm tasting the two countries side by side, so maybe I'll eat my words. In countries like Hungary, Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, the variety really doesn't hold as much cachet as it does in Austria. I think because back in the day, back in socialist or even communist times when it comes to Hungary, it was known for producing cheap, thin red wine that wasn't very exciting, whereas now Austrians have really adopted it and really pushed the quality. These are medium to full-bodied red wines tasting out of my Spiegelau definition Bordeaux glass. I think this glass offers ridiculous value for money and it's super light. I have a link in the descriptions box below if you want to check it out. As always, I Coravin these and had somebody mix them up for me. At the time of recording, I just came back yesterday from judging the Asia Wine Trophy in Korea. It was in conjunction of the Daejeon International Wine Expo. Every year there's a different guest country, and this year Hungary was the guest country, so I got to see a lot of my old Hungarian wine producing friends. We'll see if they come out on top. Let's start off with wine number 1 here. Wine 1 right away smells exactly like right about the variety. It's just like pure cherry juice, almost like the UK drink Ribena, if you've ever had that. If you're from Europe, I often see it in Asia. I don't see that in America so much. There's just a touch of mocha here. The wood's done really well. It's bright, just fun cherry flavors. Just a little bit of oak. It's soft on the pepper, not so peppery. That's what comes out the most. Smells juicy, maybe a little bit of bubblegum component. Let's taste it here. These are just such delicious wines. Cherry, tannins are not too hard. They're a little bit soft. You have some of the oak notes, but not too much. This is not an oaky wine at any stretch. It's not super peppery. It's just a juicy, fun red wine. It's right in the middle of not being too intellectual, too serious, but yet being loads of fun. That's a good wine. Let's start out. Let's go to wine 2. Wow, 2 has more of a sour cherry component, so I'm all about it. I think that this might be Hungarian. Sour cherry, earth, a little of kind of like this marshmallow component. It has like a touch of age on it, a touch of bottle patina. It's spicy, it's peppery, more medium bodied, long, refined. This is delicious. This is excellent wine. This is exactly the type of red wine that I like to drink. That's really good. I like the variety because I guess if you were comparing it to a person, I guess it reminds me of myself. Somebody that aspires to be intellectual, maybe not the most intellectual person in the world, certainly not the dumbest, I'm definitely not the smartest, but yet fun at the same time. I think that's one thing that I am. Now I sound like I'm tooting my own horn. Okay, let's go on to wine 3. These are just flat out quality wines. Wine 3. Wine 3 has a little bit more tobacco type notes. This, to me, there's not volatile acidity here. There's not that vinegar smell, but it definitely feels like it has some bottle age, maybe just a tad. This, to me, you know, it seems more on the sour cherry spectrum. It's almost Italian winey. Some leatherness to it. Man, 3 is super good. That is a good wine. Of course, wine, especially from smaller producers, more obscure regions in the US, it's going to cost a little bit more. But man, if you're in Europe, you can scoop these wines up at ridiculous prices. In Hungary, for instance, you're getting these top quality Kékfrankoses for next to nothing because the old image of it being sour, thin, disgusting red wine. But this is awesome. Let's move on to 4. 4 is the earthiest so far. I get tons of earth, fall leaves flavors. Almost like a dense Pinot Noir or a rich, ripe Pinot Noir. These are just, for those of you following my work, you know I love Hungarian wines. Hungarian wines are completely underrated. Austrian wines too. Austria, the wines are just so well made and offer ridiculous value for money. I love the earthiness here. Number 4 has the softest tannins, the most Pinot Noir-esque. 4 is one of those wines where it comes down to personal preference. Again, when I score these wines, it's to deliver a hierarchy for what I like here. Scores are not the end-all be-all. It's a snapshot of a moment in time. 4, for instance, might not get as high a score as maybe 2 or 3 for most people, but when it comes to personal preference, this is the type of wine that I want to drink. Let's move on to wine 5. 5. Smells ambitious. There's a lot of tobacco here, a lot of mocha, not too oaky. Again, Blaufränkisch handles oak well. Blaufränkisch is, I got it. Sometimes, you know, it runs the gamut. It can taste Syrah, it can taste Pinot Noir, it can taste a little Sangiovese, it can taste a little Cabernet, maybe even a little Cabernet Franc. Oh, this smells really good. The tobacco comes through with some sour cherry flavors. Oh. What makes number 5 great is it has the sweet tobacco mixed with a cherry finish. It's also more medium bodied. I love it. I love it. I love it. I thought it'd be easy to kind of distinguish the Hungarian versus the Austrian here, but I'm really having a hard time, except for maybe wine 2. Let's move on to 6. Wine number 6 has got the shyest nose out of the bunch. I still get the cherry. The oak is here, but not too much, but you can just kind of get the sense of it. This comes along with tasting a lot of wines. You kind of get the sense of what wines are oaked or not, although sometimes you're not always right. Yeah, it's just more cherry. It's more straightforward, although it's not a simple wine. I'm just comparing it to the complexities of the other wine. I think the nose is just shy. I'm going to give it a second and shake it up here. I get a little bit of earth here, mud. None of these wines aren't super peppery. Straightforward, delicious. Here, the tannins are a little bit aggressive on the back end, so this tells me, man, maybe this wine can age a little bit more. It's not, I can tell it's super high quality wine. It's just not super expressive at the moment, but it is a good wine. I'm looking forward to the reveal. By the way, if you want to hang out with me or other wine geeks, check out channel memberships in the second tier, the Grand Reserve tier. I've organized a monthly live hangout tasting where you can come up on screen, hang out, share your wines. We can just talk shop. I've also launched a live video podcast. Members of the Grand Reserve tier can come up on screen and ask a question, call in like a live radio show, and it supports the work I do here, so thank you. Pretty excited about the reveal here. I always prefer Hungarian Kékfrankos. I don't know if what, you know, we'll see here. We'll see if that what comes up on top. I have wines number 6 and number 1 that are tied. 6 was the shyest. Remember I said it probably had the biggest tannins on the back end. Earth, mud, it had the cherry flavors. I gave it 91 points. I gave 6 and 1 the same score. 6 is a little more full-bodied. 1's a little bit lighter. I think it's just a little bit shy right now, but I think it's really good. 91 points. 91 points. Let's take a look. We have Austria. This is the Paul Ox Edelgrund Blaufränkisch from Burgenland. Ried Gosser. So this is a single vineyard wine. This comes in at 35 bucks, 2021. Comes in at 13% alcohol. This is kind of their mid-tiered wine. I tasted one of their high-end wines on a video where I talked about wine glasses, which it was exceptional. I think this is good at 35 bucks, especially if you want to get into the variety. My only criticism here, it's 2021, it's young wine. This wine definitely needs some time. It might be the youngest wine here. Oh, maybe I do have other 21s here. Good wine. So number 6 was Austria. Let's go to number 1. Number 1 was just cherry oak. It was low pepper. It was just a fun wine. I had really enjoyed it. 91 points. It was more light bodied in style. Let's see what we got here. 91 points. And what do we got here? This is Austrian as well. This is the Jalits Eisenberg Reserve Diabas 2018. So this has some age on it. Comes in at 30 bucks. I think this is a really good value. And Eisenberg is a sub-appellation of Burgenland. It's more in the southern part. It's really close to Sopron in Hungary. Offer tremendous value for money. Like, I bet you this wine in Austria is probably 15 to 20 euros. And I think that's exceptional for this price. It's just a fun wine to drink. I highly suggest seeking out wines from Eisenberg, especially if you're in the European Union, because you can order them online. They really offer ridiculous value for money. We have 2 Austrians out of the way here. Wow. Maybe it'll prove my point. Maybe Hungary will come out on top. Wine number 3 here, leathery, long. I feel like it could have been Italian even. You still have this cherry flavor, some sour cherry flavors. I think a lot of people might think it's Italian even. I gave it 92 points. 92 points for wine number 3. Let me double check my notes here. Yes, 92 points. Let's take a look here. This is Austria. This is the Weingut Dorli Muhr. This is the, let me see if I get this right. This is the Prellenkirchen, Seide, Blaufränkisch. This is one of our more entry-level wines, 2021. This comes in at 32 bucks. So, man, Dorli Muhr makes outstanding wines. This wine's a little bit more readily available. She makes some higher-end single vineyard wines. I think at 32 bucks, I think this is an outstanding wine, especially of those that like just those classic European-styled wines. I think blind, a lot of people would not think it's Austrian. Dorli Muhr is a wonderful lady. She also runs one of the most successful PR agencies in that region called Wine & Partners. They're awesome. I think that that is a heck of a wine. We got all the Austrians out of the way. Wow. That's just how it is. Let's move on to wine 4. I like just slightly more. I felt like it was a dense Pinot Noir, had soft tannins. Kind of reminds me sometimes of these real dense Oregon Pinot Noirs. Like, people think of Oregon as a cool climate region, but the Pinots can be a little bit more dense. I gave it 92 plus points, especially if you like Pinot Noir. In the past, I've thought this was very Pinot Noir-y. This is the St. Donat Magma Kékfankos 2019 from Hungary, from the Balaton region. Hungary is a landlocked country. However, Lake Balaton is the biggest lake, biggest body of water. This is on the shore, volcanic soils. This comes in at 29 bucks. I've long thought that this is outstanding wine, and it showed really well blind. Really well. Fairly new project too, and no matter how much you taste, you always make mistakes when you blind taste, or always miss things. And I've long thought that this wine is very Pinot Noir-esque, and I gotta pat myself on the back because that's how it showed. And that's a heck of a wine. You bring that to a party, it's a talking point. Let's move on to number 2, sour cherry, long, refined. Now this is the only one where I said, hey, I think this is Hungarian. I gave it 93 points. I thought it was very good. 93 points. And obviously we know we have 3 Hungarians left. This is the Takler Szenta-Hegyi Kékfankos 2018, a single vineyard Kékfankos. This comes in at 40 bucks. Takler is one of the great producers in the region of Szekszárd in Hungary. There's 4 main red wine regions for Hungary. 2 of them are in the south. Villan, mostly known for Viligny Franc or Cabernet Franc and Bordeaux blends. And then Szekszárd. Szekszárd is my favorite region for red wines. I find them more balanced. That's where this is from, a single vineyard wine. 95 points, James Suckling. Okay, like I said, I always subtract 2 points from Suckling. 93 points. I thought that was very good. Very good wine. By the way, speaking of scores, I have an upcoming video where I have a bunch of wines scored by different critics, and I'm going to blind taste them and see the difference between my scores and theirs. This is awesome. This is one of their top wines. If you're looking for value, I really recommend their Bikaver, which is the bull's blood blend, which in Hungary is like 12 euros. If you can find the US, it's probably, 20-something bucks. I think that's really, really good. Okay, I liked wine number 5. I gave it the highest score. It's the one that was tobacco sour cherry and had that sweet tobacco mahogany finish. Kind of reminded me of things I get out of Chianti Classico without the tannins. I gave it 94 points, a whopping 94 4 points. Let's take a look here and see what it is. This is from Eger, a northern region in Hungary. This is the Kovács Nimrod Winery Blues Kékfrankos 2019. The cheapest wine in the bunch. This comes in at $26.99. Kovács Nimrod is quite an inspiration to Hungarians. The guy, his story is pretty amazing. To escape the communist regime, he had to kind of like swim across the Adriatic, got to freedom, started developing, I think he was in the cable business in America, went back and developed his own winery, makes some of Hungary's most expensive reds too. Sometimes I feel like they could be over-extracted too rich, but I find that his mid-range wines to have the most balance, like we see here, the blues, and this wine's available in the US, $26.99. I think that is a steal. So tell me, do you like Blaufränkisch, Kékfankos, Lemberger? I would have loved to include some Lemberger, but those wines are hard to find outside Germany. Have you tried any of these producers? I'd love to hear. Drop it in the comments below.